Hey, welcome back to Keep It Dirty, a podcast where my guests share their life living functionally and sustainably and their experiences navigating through our ever changing environment. I am your host, Leslie Dowling. I am a functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner, corporate speaker, and trying to spread my life of living, eating clean, and my background with just studying and going to school and really ingesting and inhaling the latest trends and what really is going on with our environment and how it is affecting us on so many different levels. So today I'm going to discuss fat, fiber, protein, and really balancing our blood sugar. And the key to balancing our blood sugar is really to get that mix and that blend of fats and fibers and proteins and every meal that we eat. So with that, I just wanted to review some things that I am so passionate about, just trying to eat clean, but also trying to stay in balance and not having those really huge highs and lows, which affects us with our sleeping patterns, with the way that we convey ourselves during the day. We could have a really great productive day if we could just fuel our body and give it what it needs, right? So our body's like a machine and we need to fuel the body properly. So, so the fat, fiber, protein is something that really was instilled in the schooling that I went to. And it really to maintain balancing the blood sugar. Really, after eating a meal, you feel full, you have that balanced energy throughout the day, is really just trying to mix these three ingredients, or not ingredients, but fats, fibers, and proteins. So that would be snacks and meals that contains a mix of this. And basically our body slowly digests these carbs, including sugar, and the slower digestion leads to a more even absorption of glucose, which kind of makes sense, right? All carbohydrates are broken down and really in turn keeps your blood sugar level balanced, as well as really just making you feel just balanced and feeling full throughout the day. So like I said, you don't really want to crash, and you have those cyclical highs and lows if you have something like refined sugar or a candy bar, something that you will just crash and burn. So some of the fats that I really enjoy eating, which is really like a healthier source of fats, are I really love just taking a handful of different mixed organic nuts during the day and putting it in a little container, and I'll just grab a handful throughout the day. If you like avocados, there's so many ways that you could eat that. You could just slice them, and then I like to put the salt on it, and I like getting the salt that is oh, what is it? It's the kosher salt. That's really good. Or I also like olives. And if you're not a big olive lover, you could go with different types of like coconut, the coconut water. You could drizzle coconut oil onto, say, your salads, organic or pasture raised butter, which is, I use ghee when I cook. And also try to stay with grass fed meats, poultry, eggs, and cold water fish, because the grass fed meats are not injected with the chemicals, and they don't ingest the animals all the different pesticides and things that maybe that they are eating as they graze, because in turn that will then we will ingest that, and that creates dysbiosis and really offsets our microbiome in our gut. And then fibers. So the importance of having fibers is really important to our diet. So things like whole grains, nuts, seeds, legumes, vegetables and fruits are critical and really important for our overall health, our gut health. So just be mindful of that. And if you're busy going into an office working, you might want to think about prepping over the weekend and maybe cutting up some vegetables and fruits and have your nuts and grains and try to keep organic. Having that throughout the day, or when you get home, all you have to do is just saute that in ghee and maybe with saute and make something like a protein, say chicken breasts is very good. And so I use different types of spices. I like turmeric. I like the mineral salt. I like the little pepper. Just trying to keep it really simple is probably your best bet. And some of the important functions of fiber, for example, is it really helps us to regulate, our stool, and it really just cleanses our body when we're getting the fiber we need and the nutrients, and drinking enough water. That's key too, especially in the summertime. And we've had a lot of really bad heat waves here in Pennsylvania. So just remember to drink enough water. And the most natural way of getting your electrolytes is through coconut water. And it also, some of the other important functions of fiber is it speeds up the time that you're just regularly having regular bowel movements. So it's really speeding up the transit time through the colon. Also helps to remove bad bacteria in the colon, which makes sense because if your colon is constantly just expediting and just getting rid of things, as we say, it just makes your whole system run better. It's like a really fine-tuned machine, and it feeds the good bacteria in the colon. So it really allows for the production of these vital nutrients, such as B vitamins, which is essential for good brain health, and also for your bodily functions, for clotting, vitamin K. And these are some of the things that I love about the school I went through. They really talk about, through the Functional Nutrition Alliances, some of these bullet statements and points that really make you think about what you're eating, what you're ingesting, and how important it is to stay with the whole foods. So there's just so many different tips that I could give you on the health benefits of fats and oils too. When you're eating good fats and healthy oils, it helps with hormone regulation because you don't want to offset your hormones and create dysbiosis. So fats are really, really important components in regulating your hormones. Also, just making sure you get those healthy fats, which will also in turn help your hormonal balance. And it also affects, believe it or not, our nervous system. It affects everything, our brain function. So according to the Functional Nutrition Alliance that I went to school several years ago, reading some literature, and it says basically that the brain is composed of about 60% fat. And it literally says with a significant portion being omega-3, omega-6 fatty acids. And these essential fats are really, which we know about is critical for brain development and function through all stages of life. And especially the omega-3 fatty acids really helps in our cognitive function, our brain function, and memory and mood regulation. So all of these come hand in hand together. And so when you eat things rich in omega-3s, it really supports our blood health and really reduces the effect of the neurodegenerative diseases and the risk of that. And you see that in such an increase. And the reason why is trying to connect the dots is we're lacking in omega-3s because when we're eating meat and they're not grazing properly on eating grass-fed diet, they are just fed grains that are deplete in the threes. And so when we're ingesting that, what happens? We're offset. We're not getting that balance of the sixes and the threes. So that's why you should really look at organic salmon and some fish, maybe for when we want to try to eat lighter, because when it's so hot, you don't really want a heavy meal, and really look into ways you can have and provide your body with the omega-3s, because most of the U.S. is unbalanced and not imbalanced. They're unbalanced when it comes to that. And you see when you connect the dots, the increase in cognitive disease like dementia and just people earlier and earlier in their 30s starting to show cognitive impairment, which is pretty scary when you think about it. So really be your own advocate and be your own detective. Also, cell structure and membrane integrity when you're when you're eating healthy fats and oils is important too. And that's basically the cell membrane, which is noted that the outer layers of cells that control what enters and exits the components of the cell membrane is critical for stability in our cells and the cellular processes that take place. So you really want your overall cell health to be good and nutrient absorption. So the vitamins A, D, E, and K are fat soluble. So that requires fat for absorption. And healthy fats, which is the nutrient rich foods, are easily absorbed and utilized to support the immune function and just cell growth, bone health. And you see a lot more people with osteoporosis and spinal stenosis. There was a doctor that was on, and off the top of my head, I can't remember his name. He was discussing on Dr. Sandra Scheinbaum's podcast how the skin, which is one of our largest organs, is absorbing all of the things that the environment is putting out there from manufactured plants, chemicals, things that we put on topically. And not only is it creating dysbiosis and offsetting our microbiota, it's offsetting our microbiota. They're saying that you find in all of like your liver, your organs. Also, it has an effect on bone health. Who would have ever thought what you're putting, right? And it makes sense on your body topically. Studies and research are showing now that that is having an effect on bone health. So just start looking into this, start looking into PubMed, start reading literature that is legit. And there's a lot out there, you know, in social media and these crazy things on social media about these miracle drugs or miracle vitamins. And when you get to the nitty gritty of everything, it's like, where are these coming from? Who are they legit? Is it a company you've ever heard of? So just be careful before you start ingesting anything. And also skin and hair health, right? That plays a critical role. The omega-3 and omega fatty acids actually support the skin barrier function. That's right. So it moisturizes, it protects our body from the external stressors and factors of what's going on with our environment. So let's see, other than that, so I went over some of the ways you could get fats into your diet. I talked about fiber, also protein. Let's just talk about protein quickly. Protein comes from animal and plant sources, right? And some of the sources of protein, which I really just try to advocate for organic and grass fed when you have an opportunity to eat, that is beef or eggs. Bone broths are excellent way of just getting your protein, and fish and also chicken. And some of the plant sources are, like I said, the nuts and seeds, soy, which is whole fermented forms like tempeh would be your best bet. Also vegetables, lentils, quinoa. Now, if you have issues with allergies, I always say try to track and record. Say if you're not sure what kind of allergies you might have with certain foods, the best way is to start creating a journal and log for 3 days what you're eating. Are you getting enough water, right, in your diet? And also, how are you feeling? How is your gut feeling? How do you feel the next day after eating certain foods? Do you feel more bloated? Do you feel more edgy or, uptight? Are you maybe having a lot of caffeine in your diet, which chocolate has caffeine? Are you drinking and looking into maybe organic coffee? I know for me, when I stopped drinking the fast food mass produced coffees where you can go through the drive through and started drinking organic without all the vanilla and all the bells and whistles that they add to it to taste really good, like cinnamon bun coffee and things like that, that is usually chemically added. I didn't have the heart palpitations, and I was able to enjoy coffee with some raw honey and some half and half. So, and I also heard somebody, I think Kristen Cavalieri, I think her name is, like she was she has a couple of cookbooks. She's really into organic things. She said using vanilla bean paste. So I tried that and I put a little bit in my coffee and I blend it and it tastes really good. So, other than that, I just hope that everybody just becomes more aware of trying to mix your fiber, fat, and protein at every meal. I hope that I gave you a little insight as to what exactly that is, and also your blood sugar, trying to keep that at bay. So, really understanding the whole dynamics of your blood sugar. So, as we know, or I don't know if most people know, that glucose is the most basic form of sugar, and it's required for all the cells to really for bodily energy. And your brain needs it, your red blood cells need it, and it's the only form of sugar, glucose, that can be transported directly into your bloodstream. So that some of the things, how you can get your glucose with simple carbs, have fewer sugar molecules that, like in white foods and your refined foods, that is the simple carbs. So simple carbs are digested quickly, meaning they move in the bloodstream really rapidly. And refined sugars are simple carbs. And whole foods like raisins, potatoes, and juices can be simple carbs too. So the best way is to try to stay with the complex carbs. They have many sugars bound together in branching strands, and the many branches slow the digestion of the sugars. So complex carbs are usually packed with fibers, vitamins, and minerals. And some of those examples are the whole grains, like we were discussing, the vegetables. So, the perks for low glycemic perks are that some of the foods are high in fiber, you stay full longer. And that's where I was talking about that magic fiber, fat, protein component. So try to get that into your diet every day. And I'm just reiterating it, lower cholesterol levels, and it helps sweep toxins from your body, and you get more energy throughout the day. You are more stabilized even emotionally because you don't have those highs and lows in your just how you're feeling, and you feel full without a lot of calories. So I think that's a pretty good way of approaching your diet going forward. I hope everybody's having a great summer, and remember, try to ground with Mother Earth and keep it dirty. Take care.